everyone. Thanks for being here. It's me, Ari Dosset, or for those who already know me, Rashid. Yes, I've just finished doing the laundry, and I thought, you know what? Let me do another live stream tonight. I haven't done a live stream in several days. Why? Because I felt a bit ill, so that's why I wasn't active on YouTube past days. But I'm better now. Praise the Lord. Um, I also watched the Titanic movie with Leonardo DiCaprio in it again, just to see the propaganda they were using in it. And oh, I see Maria Garcia is here, Dunamis is here, Danielle is here. I'm glad you're all here. Please let me know the live chat when you're here, please. Thank you very much. And by the way, can you all hear me clearly? Let me know, please. Tammy, I'm glad you're here, Tammy. Look, the Titanic story, because that's what it is. It's a story. I'm not saying that there was no ship called Titanic that sunk. There was a ship that called the Titanic, RMS Titanic, that sunk. But we have a story we're told about what happened. And this is what you need to understand. What actually happened and what the media tells you can be two different things. The media gives you a story about what happened. Now, what happened happened, but the story may not be true. All right? Well, I see Ditch Cricket is here also. Chris here also. Glad all of you are here. Now, when you type oh, I'm gonna share my screen now with you. Hold on. Share screen. Hold on. Yeah, let me go like this. All right. Can you all see the screen? Let me know in the live chat. Can you all see the screen over here? I will get some confirmation from you first, because it's quite important that you can see my screen. So is my screen visible to you? Let me know in the live chat, please. I hope there's no delay in the live chat. But okay, that is good. Maria can see it. Can the rest see it too? Now, when you type in YouTube, Titanic is a hoax, a controversial query. These are type results you get. A lot of conspiracy theories go towards J.P. Morgan, relates to the establishment of the Federal Reserve, about it relates to quote unquote the Jesuits and all of that. I'm not going into all of those things tonight. Okay? If you want to watch these things and conspiracy videos, feel free to watch them, but I'm not going to do that. I want to look at it in a more relaxed way. Okay? And of course, the movie Titanic has a lot of inaccuracies with history in it. But of course, it's Hollywood, so what else do you expect? So away. Now, here's where we're going now. Titanic conspiracy theories. Now, I'm not going too much into the conspiracy theories, but I want to point out one thing to you about this whole story of the Titanic. After the ship sunk, it became quite popular. It became like a cultural icon. The question is, was the Titanic that popular before its voyage? What do you think? Let me know in the live chat. There are no wrong answers. Was Titanic popular before its voyage? Let me know. What do you think? I'll give you just enough mint answers, not a deep question. Do you think Titanic was popular before its voyage? All right. Okay. I got some answers. A lot of people saying no. And let me tell you, that is exactly true. The sister ship Olympic was popular. Royal Mail Star Line Olympic was far more popular and was already in use. And apart from the Olympic, there were other ocean liners that already operating and already wanted by the masses. So this Titanic thing, it was an icon at the time it began its first journey. It was not. So if this ship was not so popular and not a big seen as such a big achievement, why then, when it sunk, did mainstream media worldwide make it such a big thing? Now, let's go into this a little bit, okay? Okay, I'm not going to read all of this. Um, this is one of the conspiracy theories, so I'm going to read it very brief over here. And by the way, let me show this on a new thing over here. Left is Olympic, right is the Titanic. As you can see, they look identical. There's just a few minor differences over there. All right, let's read this. One of the most controversial and elaborate theories surrounding the sink of the Titanic was forwarded by Robin Gardner in his book Titanic, the Ship That Never Sank. Gardner draws upon several events and coincidences that occurred in the months, days, and hours leading up to the sink of the Titanic, and concludes that the ship that sank was in fact Titanic's sister ship Olympic, disguised as Titanic, as an insurance scam by her owners. The International Mercantile Marine Group, controlled by American financier J.P. Morgan, that acquired the White Star Line in 1902. Now, these are all facts over here about J.P. Morgan, this guy over here, and the White Star Line. See that the star is pagan, a red flag over here. You see the red flag over there? Wow, a red flag with a star or a pentagram in it, referring to a rape spirit. Okay, so that's a warning enough. Okay, Olymp was slightly older sister Titanic, built alongside the more famous vessel, but launched in October 1910. That's around 2 years earlier. Her exterior profile was nearly identical to Titanic, save for minor details such as the number of portholes on the forward sea decks of the ships, the spacing of the windows on the B decks, and the forward section of the A decks prominent on Titanic that have been enclosed by only a few weeks before she set sail on an ill-fated maiden voyage. Voyage. So Titanic had no history before? No. Okay. Both ships were built with linoleum floors, but shortly after she was due to set sail, G. Bruce Ismay, managing director of the White Star Line, and especially ordered the floors of Britannic carpeted over. Okay, that doesn't be a thing. But here's the issue. On the 20th of September 1911, the Olympic was involved in a collision with the Royal Navy warship HMS Hawke in the Brambles Channel in Southampton water. So the Olympic crashed with a Navy vessel of Britain. The two ships were close enough to each other that Olympic's motion drew two hawks into her off starboard side, causing extensive damage to the inner, both above and below her waterline. All right, so okay, collision happened. Oh, here's the thing. Olymp was found to be at blame in the collision, which, according to Gardner, had damaged the central turbine mountings and bent the keel, giving the ship a slight permanent list to port. Because of this finding, White Star's insurer, Lloyd's of London, alleged refused to pay out the claim. White Star's flagship was would also be out of action during the extensive repairs, and Titanic's completion date, which was already behind schedule due to Olympic's return to the yard after loss of the propeller blade, would have to be delayed. Oh, so the Olympic crashed? I mean, how did it crash into a war vessel of Britain? That means the captains, whoever was running the ship, were not that competent. And the the insurance company refused to pay because A, it was mismanagement on the side of the Olympic, and the Titanic, which was not completed yet, was already delayed. So you see that the company here was quite incompetent. Okay, all this would amount to a serious financial loss for the company. The and who was a big financier of it? JP Morgan. Okay, let's continue. Gardner proposed that to make sure that at least one vessel would be earning money, the badly damaged Olympic was patched up and then converted to become the Titanic. The real Titanic, when complete, would then quietly enter service as the Olympic. And here they mention certain things that are true about the conspiracy theory. I'm not going into all of it. Um, the ships were quite identical, of course, and well, some I'm not going to all the conspiracy theories and all of that. What I'm going to point out is that okay, yeah, this going on, and with the naval ship, so there was incompetence on the part of the captains, and as well as on the part of well, the company itself. Oh, and look at this. I want to go to where is this again? This was the Olympic crew. These were the captains or say officers of the Olympic, and from left to right, William M. Murdoch, Joseph Evans, David Alexander alleged, because a lot of people say that this individual cannot be identified. They say it's David Alexander, but there are some doubts about that. And then you have the captain of the later Titanic, Edward Smith, the one whom they say died on board. Okay, hold on. I'll show you guys this up close. This one, they're definitely identifying. I'm sorry, but something is a bit upsetting about this image. What do you do? You guys notice what I'm noticing? What's off about this image? Please let me know in the live chat, please. What do you think? Just look at the image. What is off about this picture taken on the Olympic in 1911? Oh, the same year the Olympic had a crash with a naval vessel of Britain. What is wrong with this image over here? Let me know in the live chat, please. I'll just wait for a minute for you to answer. Let me know your thoughts. hmm Okay. One says it looks photoshopped. Well, this is a verified image from the past, but still, I'll take the comment. One says one man is not with the others. Other says he look miserable. Separation of three from the guy on the left. The guy that looks like Putin. Did you know you broke the facial expression down? Why do like they're on a corridor? They don't look half so happy. Gloves on and off, like a secret code for something similar to black magic. Yes, I'm not going into the fact that they have Masonic symbol on their uniforms, because that's common um, in both the military as well as in the aviation as well as in starliners. That's common. I'm not saying that photo manipulation didn't exist back then, but folks, don't you got? Maybe it's me. Again, it can be me. I can be wrong. If I'm wrong, please correct me. If you're a Photoshop expert, if you're a photography expert, much more experience than me, please correct me. But you can see this light in the background over here, a lot of light, and you have a lot of light um, on in front of them. This seems like sunlight over here. You have a little shadow over there. But shouldn't you see a shadow up front over here? Shouldn't you see a bit more shadow on the ground over here? That's one thing I thought was a bit weird. Also, their facial expressions are exactly the same. Sad. I mean, come on, you're on one of the biggest ships ever built of that time. And you look like this? Also, gloves off. That is a symbol. Let me tell you what the gloves off mean. The gloves off mean I'm done with this. I'm not participating in this anymore. When you have wonder gloves on, that's a symbol for uh, you got this. When you have one glove on and one hand with other glove, you're actually saying, "Don't worry, I got this." If you take the gloves off, you're actually symbolizing, "I'm done. I don't want to be part of this." Okay. So what is it that they don't want to be part of? Oh, all right. And by the way, seems like a skinwalker to me, but again, I'm mistaken likely, and I hope I am, but this guy gives me the creeps for real. And the facts, historians had a difficult time identifying him. That's another red flag. All right. So before we talk more about 1912 when Titanic went out, because remember the um, Olympic went out 1910, the 1900s, the decade from 1900 till 19 December 31st, 1909. Yet aviation had begun. Yet a lot of bullshit happening in Africa over here, and so you had a lot of developments happening worldwide. You had the Norway becoming independent from Sweden. You had Cuba becoming independent from the United States. In music, in popular culture, there was a lot of changes that happened. Also, Pablo Picasso was going on back then, and also the radio transmission, also under this Italian guy Marconi, became established. So yeah, so radio communication also was in because you had already had on the sea uh, submarine cables on the bottom of the oceans to communicate between the continents. The British Empire ran the world's economy. So a lot was changing and developing in the first decade of the 20th century. So understand this. A lot was developing and changing at the time. So the context of how would I say the Olympic and Titanic, and there was another sister vessel, I forgot that name. It didn't happen in a vacuum. It didn't. I don't want to talk about this guy right now, Albert Einstein. Okay? There were also a lot of political instabilities that happened. Oh, yeah. And they tried to divide China. So the Chinese Empire was being divided between Japan, France, Germany, Britain, I believe Russia also. So, and American English didn't actually exist yet. So, well, just to give you a context of the time of what was going on. Now understand this. Britain ran the world's economy back then. All right? Yes, Britain ran the world's economy. So let me show you very quickly so you know that what I'm talking about. Look at this. Hold on, let me make some bigger map over here. Hold on. So let me get it straight. Britain ran the world's economy. Britain managed the submarine cables that connected most of the world's communication. Britain also had the grip over the United States where aviation developed. So Britain was in charge. Simple as that. You mean to tell me Britain roared the waves of the seas, so called, but Britain could not guarantee safety on the starliners? Are you kidding me? Nah, no, no, no. I don't take that. I do not take that at all. So the Titanic was British ship, obviously. Yes, there was American investment in it, but was a British project. So Britain's reputation, well, I mean, less than a year after it was launched, right, had a collision. So that was a big embarrassment already. And now at Titanic, fine. If they already had a big embarrassment with Titanic, why would public trust them with the Titanic then? Why would they? They would not. They absolutely wouldn't. It's like telling me, oh, um, you know, Rashid, Windows messed up with Microsoft, but hey, don't worry. Uh, things are going to get better. Just keep trusting Windows. No, it doesn't work that way. It was London back then. It was Britain and Ireland together. Oh, I can't find the map of the empire. But you know what? So be it. You guys know the British Empire was big. Understand. The timing is suspicious. Oh, and here comes another thing. People being asked this question, and Quora is a place where everyone can ask anything. Just don't, you're not guaranteed that the answers will be of quality. But look at this. Why was the Royal Mail Starline Titanic filled close to its maximum capacity? Okay, so someone answered, and I'm going to make this screen a bit bigger for you. Okay, simple cookies. There are a few reasons why Titanic wasn't sailing at full capacity during her voyage. It was the slow season for travel. Passengers tend to book ships passage during the winter and summer months, so the early spring wasn't as busy. But okay, if early spring was not as busy and they just spent a fortune finishing Titanic, remember they had to fix the Olympic and they didn't get insurance money for it. And they had to complete and the product. It's the same as promoting Christmas products in spring. You're not doing that. You promote Christmas products in November because it's just 1 month away from Christmas. If you're going to promote Christmas products in April, people look weird at you. So this first reason here is nonsense. Okay, It's a red flag they decided to release this ship in a season when passenger travels was not that busy. Okay. Second, British coal strike. Many ships had to cancel or postpone trips due to coal shortage from the coal strikes. Many travelers, aware of the issue, decided to wait out the strike until regular services would resume. White Star even had to cancel the sailings of a few ships and transfer the passengers and coal to the Titanic instead. Then say Titanic was still a new ship with little fame. As I already explained before, Titanic was still a famous ship, but the majority of her legacy rests with actual sinking. True. By the time Titanic was set to sail, she was up against her much more famous older sister, Olympic, and their rivals, Mauritania and Lusitania. Those were two other starliners. Some passengers may have waited out to book passengers on other liners, as Titanic didn't have much to her name at the time, besides being a slightly larger than Olympic. Hmm. So this doesn't answer the question. So, about the coal strike. Did a coal strike in Britain happen? Absolutely. The National Coal Strike of 1912. 37 days it lasted. From the end of February in Derbyshire, and from there went nationwide. Almost a million miners took part, so all over Britain was a strike, and ended on the 6th of April. And it caused considerable disruption into the train and shipping schedules. So the miners shut down the economy of Britain, not the economy of the British Empire, but the economy of Britain nearby. It means of Ireland, Scotland, Wales, and England. They shut it all down. They want the minimum wage. Because remember, back then, especially in Britain, if you were not from an upper class or you had no social connections, you had to do hard labor to provide for your family. And at some point, the public had enough, and they shut down the economy of Britain. So the 6th of April it ended, lost for 37 days. End of February, the whole of March, and the first week of April. Remember that. Now, why do I want you to remember that? Okay, because at the time of her entry into service on the 2nd of April 1912, the Royal Mail steamer Titanic was the second of three Olympic class ocean liners. It was the largest ship in the world. Hold on. 2nd of April 1912? Hold on, people, hold on. Didn't the national strike of coal, because remember, trains needed coal for the steam engine, and ships needed the coal also. Didn't coal, the miners' revolt end on the 6th of April? So why, during a national strike that shut down the economy of Britain, do you put a voyage for a big ship that you spend a fortune to finish, while yet another ship yet to complete? No businessman makes a decision like this. Okay? Titanic will carry 3,547 people in speed and comfort. All right. But hold on. There were first class, second class, and third class. Okay, we don't have to go through all of that. Okay. 2nd of April, it began. Okay. Now, this is the route it eventually took. Okay. So, besides the 2nd of April, it came to use. They still waited 8 more days. And guess what? 10th of April, it departed from Southampton, Cherbourg, that's here near France, then to Queenstown, island in just one day, and then several days later, wow, 3 days later, it crashed right over here. Okay. Now, the question remains, first of all, it was not a season for much travel. That was one thing. It was still early spring. Secondly, there was a coal strike that shut down the British economy. And now you want to offer this big ship, the biggest ship in the world, to make a voyage, knowing that you wouldn't have the full capacity. So, hold on a minute. By the time the tank departed westward across the Atlantic, she was carrying 892 crew members and 1,320 passengers. Hold on. 1,320 passengers and a crew of 892. So let's roughly estimate how much that is with 700, 2,000, around 2,300 people, something like that. Okay. There were millionaires on it, and were also poor immigrants from Armenia, Ireland, Italy, Sweden, Syria, and Russia. Wow. Now, iceberg warnings. There were 6 warnings that day from various ships. There were icebergs ahead. In the off in 9 in the morning, they got a warning for icebergs. 9 in the morning, and the ship sank around somewhere around 10 in the night, 10 p.m., something like that. You mean to tell me from 9 a.m. in the morning, going all the way to all the way to 10 p.m., you couldn't have adapted? Are you kidding me? I mean, seriously, if you want to make up a story that sounds convincing, please make it convincing. All right? There were many other uh, steamliners in the area of Canada, in that crossing the Atlantic, and they were warning one another. So you mean to tell me that you had wireless communication between ships, and they were warning one another for dangers on the sea, but the Titanic just ignored all of it, or was too late um, to do anything about it? Nah. That even on Wikipedia, they try to make excuses. The ship was heading 22 knots. That was just a high speed. I mean, think about it, Saints. It is known that there are some icebergs floating around near the shores of North America over there. All right? Winter just ended. It's in spring. It's not even summer yet. Oh, and by the way, a lot of the steamliners would operate during the winter. So they're used to sailing or around icebergs. You mean to tell me that an experienced captain like Edward Smith, and you mean to tell me that it was common for steamliners to pass around icebergs, that they were so shocked by sudden iceberg that appeared? Nah, Believers, please don't fall for this. So, what I'm pointing out here, Saints, is that they claim that this was the iceberg that Titanic hit. Okay, they allege it. What I'm putting out there, Saints, is that the Titanic story is quite traumatic and quite shocking. And also, Hollywood made it popular with that romantic movie they made. And because it's part of British history, also, people tend to, okay, it's an official report. People believe everything that was said. But even official report has inconsistencies in it. And here's another thing. How come the ship was able to carry over 3,000 people? Okay, 3,547. So 3,500 people the ship was able to carry. That's more than a common village of Britain. How come then the lifeboats were so few? That's neglect right over there. You don't depart with a ship like that and you have so few lifeboats. Some of your sheet, it was low season, that's why they didn't. No, 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 no excuses. You make sure there are more than enough lifeboats, not too few. Simple as that. So, what this shows, Saints, is that this happening over here, it was a setup. Okay, it's one thing to be incompetent, it's a whole nother thing to be neglectful. The company proved to be incompetent with Olympic, and they also have proven incompetency by by pushing for a maiden voyage during low season right after a coal strike. Okay, while Britain's economy was crashing. I'm sorry, but when the economy is crashing, a lot of people are not willing to pay for anything luxurious. So what were they thinking? So till that, then you can say it's incompetence. But the fact they decided to cross the ocean with low equipment, too few life vessels, and they ignored warning signals of icebergs, even though it was common for starliners to pass by icebergs when they cross the North Atlantic Ocean. That is just a setup. I do not care what people say about this live stream. It's a setup, as simple as that. Oh, look at this. You could um, rent in the first class. You could rent a private promenade. You can write like a private apartment on it for over $122,000 in today's money. Wow. Even the third class was quite comfortable. Good food and all that. Hold on a minute. So even the third class was for were for the refugees and people just wanted to flee. Even the third class, which is expected to be crappy, was of good quality. So everyone aboard the Titanic was provided comfort, whether you were third class citizen, second class, or first class. Hold on a minute. You just had a coal strike in Britain that shut down the British economy. There was also a lot of social unrest in Britain. You had a year earlier, you had this disaster with the Olympic, and there was no insurance money being paid. And you also had to finish the Titanic, which cost you more money. And now you lost all that money, and now you make things comfortable for everyone, even the third class citizens. No, I mean third class passengers. I'm sorry. Hold on. Why spend all that money and you get nothing in return? And don't say it's charity, because if it was charity, people would have boarded for free. People didn't board it for free. There were security and police over there if you tried to enter Titanic without a ticket. Hey, the Titanic was too good to be true. Today we have first and second class. Back then you also had the third class. If even the third class was documented to be comfortable, I'm sorry, but they were setting people up. It's like they were begging people to come on the Titanic. The fact that the ship couldn't reach its full capacity of over 3,500 people shows already that a lot of people were suspicious of it. I mean, and many of the people of the third class, as you just read before, right now, were refugees and people who want to flee to the United States. So the people that were fleeing, and they end up in the third class, they had it comfortable. So those were a lot of the people that they used to fill the ship with. So the whole context is suspicious. 10th of April. 10 in Roman numerals is an X. X is abbreviation for Helios. Helios is not named for Apollo. Simple as that. So the date it shows, the 10th, is also symbolic for Apollo, the sun god. Oh, and what do you know? The captains and the crew, they carry sun symbolism referring to Apollo too. Okay, all right. So it is obvious, Saints. The Titanic was a setup. What was set up then? Forget about the insurance scam that likely may have happened. I'm not even going to discuss that in detail over here. This thing was set up to happen, to distract the public from the failure of the British Empire. The British Empire was the vehicle of white supremacy back then. And they consider themselves the ones who had to carry civilization. They said it was the white man's burden to civilize the rest of the world. It was the British Empire was saying. So the British Empire had to prove itself. But here's the problem. Yet a minor strike of over 1 million people. I'm sure it was more than 1 million people, far more than 1 million. But it only recorded 1 million. It was far more than that. How come Britain claims to be the one that carries civilization and polices the world and makes the world a better place, while over 1 million of your own men are revolting against you? And this became world news, and they wouldn't stop revolting. And let me tell you, there were riots happening also. There were riots happening, arson, looting. Britain was crashing. And this was news that all over the world they picked up. That was a big embarrassment for Britain, an enormous embarrassment. And one thing you need to know about white supremacy, their reputation as the saviors of civilization is what keeps the fairy tale going. So, JP Morgan and all those other white supremacists in the United States, they relied on the British Empire succeeding. Because the American economy back then was run by the British anyway, through Canada or through Bermuda or whatever. Even today, British bankers run the US dollar through the Federal Reserve. They call them international bankers, but they're British bankers. So the what? So the how you say the chief warlocks who ran American economy as well as the British economy, they realize, oh crap, we embarrass ourselves. We need to hide this embarrassment. First, you had the Olympic crashing, and now you have this mine strike all over the place. I mean, if Britain could not keep its own public happy, everyone in the colonies of Britain will begin to doubt British rule. If even the native Britons in Britain were turning on the British Empire, why would those in the colonies overseas take it? And if people wouldn't take the British Empire, then all the other colonial empires would fail too. So the French Empire, Dutch Empire, the leftover of the Spanish Empire, the Portuguese Empire. Um, Italy had an empire too. Germans had empire too. Also, Japan had an empire that increased. So worldwide, white supremacy was at risk because over 1 million white males that revolted and caused riots and all of that. So they needed something to distract the public from white supremacist failure. And what do you know? Instead of waiting for high season, that's around September or October, uh, the Starline company decided we're going to push out Titanic now, just after it's finished. They didn't even test the Titanic. They just put it out directly. Now that's also for a disaster. Oh, and what do you know? After the sinking of the Titanic, which was just um, on the 6th of this was just like a little bit more than a week after the national coal strike happened, everyone forgot about the national coal strike. Now, they did get the minimum wage, the Coal Mines Act. That did happen. They won with that. But people forgot about much of the class oppression and class struggles in Britain. The failure of white supremacy was covered up by the tragedy of the Titanic. That is what happened. Oh, Rashid, you mean to tell me that the crew of Titanic was alienated? Oh, yes, they were. Yes, they were. Rashid, you mean to tell me that worldwide a lot of people collaborated with this? Yes, they did. Absolutely, they did. I mean, white supremacy as a fairy tale had to function. And Britain's neglect of its own people exposed that white supremacy was just that, a fairy tale. If that coal, if that national coal strike would have continued, it would have crossed over to the Netherlands, to Belgium, to France, and you would have a whole revolution worldwide of workers standing up, demanding better wages, all of that, and everyone would say, hold on a minute, how can Europeans claim the right to govern the world, but they can't even govern their own people properly? So they had to shut down the public discontent in Britain. It wouldn't surprise me if the British government itself was in on it too. Because when you look at the security and safety measures of Titanic, a lot of it didn't even exist. Let me tell you, a lot of the safety measures for the Titanic were non-existent. Wow, that's not something that just happens by accident. It's done on purpose. So what am I teaching you from this? When when the pagans in the world, I'm not talking about all the pagans, when the pagan decision makers in the world, when they see that their pagan operations are failing, they will come with rescue missions. And the Titanic was a rescue mission to save the face of the British Empire, including of white supremacy. That's why research of the Titanic was often so mysterious and often discouraged in the beginning. And after that, Britain came up with a convention to preserve safety aboard ships. So Britain could play the hero. Simple as that. 2 years off, no, In not 2 years old, but the same year, International Convention for the Safety of Life at Sea, SOLAS. Sol. Sol is Latin for sun. So even in the safety protocol they adopted after the Titanic sunk, they have to put Sol in it, referring to Apollo. They have to show the dedication to their false gods in it. All right. So Britain played the hero, and by playing the hero, saying we're going to enforce safety measures on ships worldwide, everyone forgot about Britain's failure. The only thing they had to do is sacrifice the lives of between 1490 till 16 under 35 people. And a lot of them were white too. But shit, you mean tell me white supremacists will kill a lot of white folks just to preserve their reputation? Yes, they will. Absolutely. Yes, there was outrage that happened. So there were a lot of funerals need to happen for the bodies that were recovered, because a lot of bodies were not recovered also. There were a lot of legal inquiries. There were also legislation put in place. And the wreck of Titanic, as far as I can remember, is still on the bottom of the ocean. With all technology they have, they couldn't bring it up. Or they don't want to bring it up because it may lead to more inconsistencies. Um, a little bit more, like 51% of the children were rescued, 49%. So almost half of the children died. Okay. A lot of women were saved. 80% of the men died. In total, 68% of the people on board perished. Okay. That's a big blood sacrifice right over here, just to rescue the reputation of white supremacy. Look, what I'm pointing out here is that too often when operations like this happen, we fall for the spell because we don't look at the bigger picture. The bigger picture will always show you that something's wrong. It will show you something is off. But too often we don't notice what's up because we're so into the emotionalism that's put on us. So what I'm putting out there is that maybe it's not the Titanic, but maybe it's a local event that happens with around you in your neighborhood or maybe in your country. That's a bit suspicious. Anytime a event happens, that's a bit suspicious. It is suspicious because there's something behind it. There's some type of plot that is playing out, or a plot that failed, or a plot that went too far. As simple as that. Oh, another question. Where was the British Navy? Didn't the British Empire pride itself having the biggest navy in the world? Where was the British Navy when signals came in that this ship was sinking? Where was the British Navy? I mean, let me say, Dominion of Canada. Let me see if I can find it. I mean, Canada. Okay, here it is. So I can show it to you much better now. Hold on. The British Empire. Okay. As you can see, Canada as a kingdom was part of the British Empire. Okay. Canada had naval bases around there too. If the ship Titanic sank around here, which was a common route for steamliners, why didn't the British Navy, which actually policed the world back then, where were they? Where was the British Navy? Often, when setups are done towards us, we don't want to admit it because it's a bit too painful. When you look at the context, you look at this whole situation, you can clearly see we can't justify nor excuse this. Simple as that. So please don't. Now, why did I make this live stream? Because I want to point out to you that you should not ignore your intuition. When your intuition picks up something is off about someone or something is off about the situation, because something is off. You just don't know what is off, but you realize your intuition is always right. So look into it to figure out why alarm goes off. I mean, if your smoke alarm goes off, you're not going to say, man, let me sleep. I don't want to hear this. No, the smoke alarm is so annoying. You wake up and you check where's smoke coming from. What's burning? The same way when your intuition sounds alarm, don't ignore it. So that was the setup of the Titanic by the sun worshippers to preserve the reputation of white supremacy. And I'm glad the British Empire crashed because there were a lot of crimes and a lot of incompetence that they were sugarcoating. So that's all over. Just understand, I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I'm not just coming up with theories just to get views on YouTube. No, I come with facts, and based on the facts I showed you, the whole setting was suspicious. And when something is suspicious, it means something is going on that they want to keep hidden. As simple as that. And when you look at the timing of what was going on, I just shown you the first decade of the 20th century. It was a lot of developments here and there happening. The second decade, which was the decade in which Titanic went out, a lot of the defects of the British Empire came out, and the national coal strike was just the tip of the iceberg. So to prevent the collapse of Britain as a nation, which will also lead to the crash of white supremacy worldwide, they came up with this blood sacrifice. Because okay, think about it. Let's say that United Airlines, I'm using an example. Let's say United Airlines, an American airline. Let's say United Airlines is about to go bankrupt, and now they give a discount of 90% on all their plane tickets, and they decorate all their aircrafts to be first class. If United Airlines is a brink of bankruptcy, and they decorate all their aircrafts to be first class, and they lower the price with 90%, would you buy a ticket and fly with United Airlines in such a situation? Let me know in the live chat. Let me know. What would you do it? Let me know in the live chat. If United Airlines is about to go bankrupt, and for if suddenly they would spend all this money while facing bankruptcy to make all their aircrafts first class, and they would offer 90% discount on all their plane tickets, would you fly with United Airlines in such a situation? Let me know. I'm waiting for your answers. Nope, you wouldn't do it because you wouldn't think, hold on a minute. If you're about to go bankrupt, you should sell some of your aircrafts or make your fleet small, and should increase the price of your tickets so that you don't go bankrupt. How come you're about to go bankrupt and you're going to spend more money you don't have, and you make the tickets cheap also? Something's wrong here. You wouldn't trust it. Well, that's a similar situation happened with the Titanic over here. Some people were desperate and they just got on the Titanic anyway. And a lot of them had no chance to regret it because they died. Look, I'm not telling you to be paranoid in life because being paranoid can block your own blessings. Being paranoid can get you in trouble. Just be realistic and be alert. When your intuition sounds alarm, investigate. So, just one tip. There's similar operation like Titanic going on today also. Not with steamships, but sometimes you have those unusual offers done by society. Just watch out. Okay, that was a live stream that took over an hour. Please, if you have questions about this topic, please ask me in the live chat now. Thank you very much. If you have any questions, you can ask them now. If you have to go, you have to go. If you have questions, please ask them. Thank you very much. hmm I'll wait to see if I get some questions. If I get no questions, I'll close down the live stream. Mhm. All right, wait for another minute, see if I get any questions. If you have to go, you have to go, no problem. I might take a walk outside before I go to sleep, talk on the phone for a little while. So fellowship through the phone. Mm, I'll wait for 30 seconds more, see if I get any questions. Oh, Danielle asked a question. Their schemes are always so complicated and elaborate. Do they get these ideas from past events? Often they do. They love to hold on to the past and how things worked in the past. So often their schemes are quite literal, are quite literally copied from the past, but just in a new way. I'm already feeling better, Tammy. Thank you. That's why I'm taking it easy also. And whatever attack happened to me on my birthday, hey, whoever sent that attack on my birthday, if you're watching this, listen, I'm still here serving Heavenly Father. So yes, I was a bit slowed down because of the aftermath, but hey, I'm still here serving the Heavenly Father. Oh yeah, right after the Federal Reserve was born and British bankers got another grip on the American economy. But that's another topic. Well, anyway, thank you all for being here. Keep on agreeing with Christ, and please keep your eyes open, please, and don't ignore intuition. Don't be paranoid, but also don't be toxically naive. Was it for now? Keep on agreeing with Christ. Be at peace, and I'll see you next time.